Now, the Eikenhof pump station tripped again last night, and it's believed that this was caused by a lightning strike, possibly at the Orlando substation in Soweto. Now, the latest outage comes, of course, after more than 2 weeks of water woes as for parts of Johannesburg, as some of the residents have been, really complaining about the situation. But let's get an update on all this and more with the Mayor of Johannesburg, Cllr Kabelo Gwamanda. Mayor, good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for your time. What's the latest with regards to the Eikenhof pump station?
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your viewers. As you would know, the interruption happened on the part of City Power, where we had a lightning strike that caused our substations to trip, and that was a chain reaction, but it was attended to. I know this because I was also part of the responders on the ground at the Orlando station to ensure that power is restored. Obviously, water would then take a bit longer to recover as opposed to electricity. I'm scheduled for a meeting with Water so that they can be able to advise it to the levels in which their pump stations are recovering. We do note with sympathy the fact that 8 of our water supply systems have been affected yesterday. It is the Butterfly Tower, the Linden 1 Tower, the Orlando East Reservoir, Honeydew Reservoir, Honeydew Tower, Brixton Reservoir, Hesthill 1 Reservoir, as well as Hesthill 2 Reservoir. And we know that these water systems have been the ones that have been affected in the past couple of weeks. It's just unfortunate that we had to be hit with another incident relating to weather conditions, but we are on the ground working in collaboration with Water, and we will restore the systems as soon as possible. We just like to urge our residents to bear with us in this difficult time, and we are doing everything for it.
I'm going to get to the residents in just a moment, Mayor, but I'm keen to hear this one from your mouth. What exactly has gone wrong, especially when it comes to some of the systems and these areas you've just mentioned where the reservoirs have had problems? What exactly has gone wrong with the issue of water? And the reason I ask you this is because there's been different versions of what exactly happened here. If it's not a maintenance issue, we're also hearing about a possibility of a valve that was, supposedly, allegedly closed, deliberately. At the same time, you then hear about infrastructure that's needing an upgrade. And that has led to a lot of confusion by some of the residents who are saying that you as officials are not speaking in one voice. So in your view, what's going on?
Okay, so as you would have known, there have been 2 press briefings that we've undertaken as the City of Johannesburg to try and clear the misconceptions around the issue of water. First and foremost, the issue of infrastructure is a long-standing issue that exists not just in the City of Johannesburg, but in South Africa as a whole. But the issues relating to the City of Johannesburg in the main are due to weather conditions that happened in the past couple of weeks that affected City Power infrastructure, which is responsible for then supplying energy to rainwater water systems that we depend on as the City of Johannesburg, which is the Eikenhof pump station. So the issue of the valve as well, it's another separate issue. Mechanisms that rainwater would ordinarily put in place to ensure that they do not disrupt or damage their infrastructure as a result of power being restored. They undertake a process of closing some of the valves to ensure that they open them systematically in a particular sequence that will allow the pressure flow as well as the water to flow accordingly in protection of the water infrastructure. So,
Mayor, please pardon me for coming in there. I don't want us to lose this point because what you're mentioning is something very important. So you say that the valves are opened, and closed deliberately, but there are some who are suggesting that the valves, that would have been an issue of sabotage, and thus an investigation is then ensuing. I'm hearing something different from you.
Look, the fact of the matter is that Water had committed to an investigation on the level in which me and them communicate. Okay. Remember, there's the technical teams and there's the executive level. So I demand responses from the executives at Rainwater. But according to the executives and the engagements that we've been having, they've explained on a high level how they manage and maintain their systems in order to protect infrastructure. It is very premature for us to preempt that it would be as a contribution of sabotage. Rainwater is our bulk water partner, and we work very well. Should it be that the investigation and the outcomes of the investigation suggest that there have been malicious intent in the reason why the valves have been closed, then that's an issue that we will further pursue following the outcome of that investigation. But at this point, I would like to, in unison, the relationship that we maintain, give them a benefit of a doubt, because we've been working tirelessly over the past couple of days in collaboration, I might add, in trying to resolve the issue of the residents in the city of Johannesburg.
So last night, we were in conversation with the Water and Sanitation Minister, Senzo Mchunu, who said that there was a meeting at 6 o'clock. But one of the issues when I was asking him that what exactly is going on with the metros, and particularly, let's narrow it down to the city of Johannesburg, he said, and I'm borrowing from his words, the three metros are struggling when it comes to issues of infrastructure maintenance. There doesn't seem to be a plan. There doesn't seem to be something that is being done to be able to deal with the issue of infrastructure maintenance. And that is where the big problem is. And I wonder then, what do the residents say who are watching a minister say this about the metros and the fact that there is still not a plan? It's 2024. Infrastructure issues and maintenance is not a new thing.
So without delving much into the words of the minister, that meeting that was held yesterday, it was between the city of Johannesburg and the Department of Water and Sanitation. And in the main, they requested a presentation from the city on the plans that we have in place in the midterm and the long term to address the issue of infrastructure in the city of Johannesburg. Now, our plans are twofold. One is run from Joburg Water, and a long-term plan is run from the office of the COO. These presentations were done consecutively in that particular meeting. There was an understanding between myself and the minister on how exactly we will communicate to the public. And I have given a sense of comfort in terms of the plans that we have, even plans that are initiatives that are not within the framework that will be presented as our midterm. By next week, I'll be on the ground with some of the technicians attending to the challenge of water leaks that exist in the city of Johannesburg. There is a commitment that I make over and above the plans that are being rolled out by Johannesburg Water. And I would not understand the reason for the minister to indicate that we may not have a plan, because we gave it to him. We gave him a comprehensive presentation. We respected our limitations in terms of capital expenditure that is required to expand our infrastructure.
Pardon me for coming in there. You gave him the plan after our interview, but it's all good and well to talk about plans. Over time, the residents of Johannesburg have been hearing about plans. Implementation. When are you implementing what you presented last night?
Let me just correct that statement. It's the first time that the city of Johannesburg is hearing about plans for infrastructure in the city. In the past 10 years, I made that.
But no. Trust me. We've been hearing about infrastructure management, maintenance and plans over time. But my question to you is, when do you implement what you presented last night?
So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to invite members of the media from next week to demonstrate some of the initiatives that the city of Johannesburg is doing in relation to infrastructure upgrades. Because our infrastructure is in twofold. Some needs to be replaced and some needs refurbishment. The infrastructure that requires replacement, we have various projects in various phases of completion, and that's part of the presentation that we did to the minister. The only issue that emanated was that our initiatives are not compiled in a presentation format that would give a sense of comfort to our residents. And I agreed, I acceded to that fact. And hence, I made a commitment that in our follow-up meeting, I will then have these initiatives in point form, and I will also organize a tour between the City of Johannesburg and the Office of the Minister, including the Deputy Ministers of Water and Sanitation, to do an oversight visit of our infrastructure that we are building. But key to what I've just alluded to, and which is a contributing factor towards the recurring power failure that affects Eikenhof pump station. City Power has undertaken a process of acquiring land from rainwater, and we've put in and bought transformers that need to be installed as a backup power source to ensure that we have an alternative power supply. We are just waiting for the implementation on the part of rainwater. And I've indicated that those particular plans are in place, and that will guide the nature of concessions and curtailment agreements that we are entering into with rainwater.
So, Mayor, as a final question then, and this relates to residents, because it's one thing to talk about the plans and the problems and the timelines and all of that. But what has been happening on the ground in some of these areas, and I also had to witness this as well, that's why I ask, is that the water tankers that are also being deployed into some of these areas are then not servicing the entire population of residents, because some of them, don't even signal that they are there. The elderly are not able to get closer to the pump, to the tankers immediately. Some of the people who may not be aware are not then going to get the water, and thus staying without this critical resource for days. What plans are you putting in place to make sure that everyone in the city who is without water right now is provided for?
Okay, so last week I had a meeting with councillors of the affected areas. And in that meeting, we agreed on the fact that before we deploy any water interventions, we will engage them so that they can direct us as to where exactly we need to provide that particular intervention. But equally so, you would find in instances that we deploy water tankers only to find that they are taken over by certain elements within communities that want to control state resources for whatever reasons. And that is that is criminality at its very best. And we have engaged the JMPE to be on the ground with these water tankers to ensure that the intended beneficiaries of water intervention, it reaches them the way in which it's supposed to, because this is another area that borders in the safety of councillors, because when such activities ensue, then community members become very angry and they take their frustration out on councillors, which is not what we want to see happening. That's why I have taken an initiative to collaborate with the councillor, with Joburg Water as well, to ensure that we communicate with them first, the aim to which areas are going to be affected and where we'll be deploying the tankers will be advised by the councillors of those particular areas.
All right. And in about 5 seconds, when is the water returning? When? Just give us a date. When? By when?
Look, we had fixed the problem already. If it wasn't for the occurrence that happened last night, water would be restored to its maximum today.
Okay.
It will take an additional...
All right. Pardon me, Mayor. We just wanted to know the date, just to know exactly when water is likely to be restored, because I'm sure a lot of the viewers are wondering and asking themselves when exactly some of them are going to have water flowing through their taps. But as you say, you'll invite the media. Let's see then what happens with your plans. Do appreciate your time this afternoon. That is Mayor of Johannesburg, Cllr Kabelo Gwamanda, giving us an update there on the water crisis, but also this Eikenhof pump station that has further compounded this system there. You saw the thunderstorm yesterday also playing a role there.